Hey, it's Eldon back here with another episode of Will It Live Again. Welcome back, guys. Guess I should welcome me back. I just got to look at my camera and the dates on the videos here. It's been a month, over a month since I've posted anything. And I've gotten really distracted by several other projects that I've been on, and some of them pretty big projects. I had to get my four-wheeler running, changed an axle in my truck, got my old hot rod truck I'm working on. I lowered the back end of it and some different things, as well as threw in a couple of lantern projects and some different things. So anyway, let's get back to this Albert Lea Foundry tourist stove and get working on it. I'll flip the camera around here and show you where we're at today. So here's the end result of that last video that we did. I got this piece all painted after I got it straightened out. Yeah, I don't remember how much that. I'm sure I didn't show the actual painting of it, but it's actually looking pretty good. Aside from, you can see the roughness here of where the rust had pitted the metal. Outside of that, we got it pretty straight and looking good for what we're going to do anyway. You can see some slight imperfections over in here, but again, for an old camp stove, I think it's going to look all right. So we're going to set that aside, and today we're going to go to work on the main box part of the thing. So let's get it up here on the desk, and we'll get to knocking some dents out of it. Okay, I don't know how much I've said in the past. This thing is in remarkably good condition for how old it is, and it looks like it's been very well used. So the major things that I'm seeing is the corners here where those leg brackets mounted are really buggered up, and so I'm going to go after those. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but here where the burner mounts or the burner's mounted to it, it's kind of deformed a little bit, places like that. And there's little bits and pieces. I'm probably not going to show a ton of this. I don't know if you can see that one. Makes you wonder sometimes how some of these little pieces of damage like that happen. But most of these I can solve by simply putting a dolly behind them and hammering lightly on them while I'm holding that dolly in place to back them up. So this is a dolly that I like to use for this because it's got flat sides on it, and so I end up using it a lot. And let's just go after this one dent in the corner here just to see if I can make some progress on it right there. So I want to get that dolly shoved clear in the corner to give me something to hammer against. And then I'm just going to start You see, I'm not just wailing away on this. I'm hammering lightly with a very small hammer because this is some fairly lightweight sheet metal and it moves quite easily. And you're probably not going to be able to see this on camera, but I'm going to hold that dolly against the back of it there while I'm smacking on the inside now because I don't want to drive it too far to the inside. Now there are times when I'm going to use a bigger hammer and I'm going to wail pretty hard on stuff to get it where I want it. You can see there that we're coming along pretty good. Let's get the dolly back up inside of there. I'm going to use the edge of it now. Because I'm trying to support this corner here and not change that anymore. So you can, so my main crease on this particular part was right through here. So it's not always that you want to hammer on that crease, even from the other side. Sometimes you want to hammer on either side of it with something backing it up. And a lot of this is really just experimenting. I mean, even as much as I've done this before, you got to see how the metal moves and work with it instead of trying to force it. And sometimes you'll be pounding away on something and you go, this just is not doing what I need, but you'll find that you'll flip it around or take a different approach to it, and boom, all of a sudden it works the way that you wanted it to. And sometimes it takes a lot of back and forth, one side and then the other, to get it to where you're finally satisfied with it. And I think I'm pretty good on that now. So you can see there, we've got that pretty well smoothed out. I don't know, there's a little hump right back in here. Let's mess with that. Much better. The other trick is your hand can see things that your eyes can't. So using your hands to feel that metal and feel for ripples and changes in it is very important as you're doing things like this. And by not just wailing away on this thing, we're able to get by and get it very smooth without having to use any body filler on it or anything like that. If it gets to that point, for the most part, I'm going to stop. By, you know, a stove restoration to me is just not worth the time and effort of body filler. So anyway, that got that pretty well where we need it to be. It's still not perfect, but it's an ancient stove, and that's okay. It's part of the patina of its life. Boy, every time you look at something, you're going to see things. You hold thing in one light, you think you got it perfect, but you tip it so the light reflects a different way, and you see something else. And that's just the way the game works. Little tiny crease along there. When I held it in the right light, now it's gone. That's good. Okay. All right, I think that's as good as we're going to need to get that corner. All right, I'm going to shut the camera off because everything that I'm doing here is basically just a repeat of that. I'll show you as I get back, get kind of done with it. I'll show you the finished product before I put some paint on it. So I'll be back. Thanks. Well, there we go. I've spent probably a half hour monkeying around with this, and yeah, again, it's not perfect, and it probably won't be. It's like that oil can thing there. I don't know how to get that out, and I'm not really worried about it. But found lots of little dents on here. We're able to get everything pretty well smoothed out, so we're not going to be any big obvious things, at least I don't think. A lot of weird situations. But again, you just got to find the right thing to back up your hammer and use for a dolly, and then the right hammer, and just lightly work on it until you get it knocked out straight. So that's that part. The next thing that we'll tackle here, let me grab it, is this, our lid and our wind wings. And again, they're in amazing shape for being over 100 years old. But we'll go through, there's a little dimple right there. Don't know if that'll show. I don't know if any of this will show on camera. This has been kind of folded over that way on that corner, so we'll work on that. Got a similar thing up here on this corner. And that's really about all the damage on the lid itself. These wings are actually in pretty good shape. I can see a lot of little dimples and dings in them. But all of those things are super easy to get out because you just put a dolly behind them and smack on them a little bit. There's where there was kind of a wrinkle there, so we'll work on that. So I'll work on that again off camera and come back when I get to that point. So after we got all those parts straightened out, now I'm into trying to get the rest of the paint off of them. So I've got paint stripper put on here and covered it with plastic, and it usually takes an hour or two before it starts actually breaking it free. So got that sitting there waiting on it. This is the main case. Same deal, just waiting for that paint to come loose, and then we'll scrape it off, flip them around, do the other sides. So that's where we're at right at the moment. Yeah, don't need to have an extended video on paint stripping here. Well, we're still continuing the paint stripping process, and I'm using several different methods here. So the paint stripper seems to be working on parts of it, but other parts not so well. The inside of that case, because you don't see it when it's functioning, I've decided to just leave that and paint over the top of it. The outside, finally managed to get all of the paint off of it. That was a big project, more so than I want to mess with. So I'm not going to duplicate that on the inside. What I'm going to do now is get this primed and painted, and we'll follow that shortly with this. I got this, and I think I've got the top side of it to do still. So we'll get those and get her in primer and paint, and we'll be back and ready to start putting it together. Alrighty, now we got everything in paint. So this, as you can see, even with all my pounding in, still not perfect, but that's okay. It's just the way it's going to be, because we're not working on a car here. Show quality paint job on things. But this has turned out, and it's going to make a really nice looking stove once we... There we go. And as for the inside, you can see that that's good. So we'll do that. Is the lid all hanging up there drying. Oh, we're ready to gather up some pieces and start putting this thing back together. Yeah. I've been 2 months since I started, so I'm not sure. I'll have to find all the pieces for it. All right, so I'll be back here and we'll start piecing it together. I need to make a quick apology here for you. No, this is not the stove we're working on, but something in this next video clip got the sound off from the picture, so I just want to apologize for that, and it endures for about 4 minutes here with the sound off, so hang in there with me. Let's start our reassembly. Brass tag put back on there. Now, I've taken that and cleaned it up with 4/0 steel wool. Some of these clean up better than others. The raised lettering on it actually scrubbed off really good. Or, boy, you guys can't even see that. There we go. Lettering on it scrubbed off really good and looks nice. The round area here didn't clean up as well, but that's okay. It really kind of keeps the patina of the stove there. So the way I'm going back on is we get it set into the rivet hole. As I took those rivets and kind of squeeze them back into shape here to get them where we need to go. So what I'm going to is hope you guys can camera. Anyway, so got my body dog. I'm going to put that on again rivet out here like that, and then I'm going to smack it on the end, flatten it back out. It's like that worked. Okay, good deal. Good. Now we have that permanently mounted back in there again. One thing that you want to be careful and do while you're being distracted, don't put it on upside down. That'd be something I would do. All right, the way that looks. So now let's try to get the handle. We're in that same general vicinity. Here's our handle, and it had these two clips on it. And those clips, have them in there without the handle in it to start with. You go in like that. Slide in it. Or don't want to scrape all the paint off of it doing this, so I'll open the things up a little bit. Didn't realize I'd closed them down. Yeah, good move, X-Lax. Here we go. There we go. So that one will fit like, so we can put it in place. One's going to take a little bit of persuasion to get it opened up. All right. One pair of new pliers, two pairs of needle nose pliers. And there, now that fits. Now we gotta get these things. Yeah, it worked better than I thought it would. Okay. Now I really can do this next part. What we've got to do is turn these over here. And I've got to fold the two. You're not going to be able to see this because of the light. You got to fold the two wings, one this way and that way on each one of these. I'm going to have to do that off camera because it's going to be more complicated than I know exactly what to do here. So I'll be back. Go. That was a little more difficult than I thought it would be. I got them flattened out, and man, most of the paint off of them in the process. So I'm gonna do those quickly to get the post to be, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, got that done. Now let's see if we can get the legs put on it here. So to do that, I've got two different brackets that face opposite directions there. So we got to have one of each of them, and those have to go up side. Side like that, up through there. Then the leg has to go through it, and I'm assuming it needs direction. Those are tighter fit than I thought. It's interesting. Interesting. All right, let's try putting the other one in. Maybe it'll work better when you get them both lined up, or maybe not. I don't know. Always fun trying to do this and not nice, pretty new paint. There. All right, will those pressure into place now? One of them did. That one worked like it's supposed to. Barely comes there now. That's where those are supposed to. Is it? So the question is that end up sitting straight up like that, or is it supposed to be angled out some more? You know what? I angled out more. So I probably got to pull that back off and turn. Okay. Yep, that's got to be the way that it works. Right, back off of there. All right, I'll be back. You don't need to watch me undo this and redo it. We'll just go on the other direction. Well, that was another wrestling match, but there we have it. Surprise, surprise, when you put them in the right direction, they actually go in easier. Not totally, but anyway, look at how they're supposed to be there. Far as I can tell, the legs are supposed to slant out like that. I think that's going to be to stabilize it instead of having them coming straight down where they'll have a tendency again. So anyway, that's the way I'm going to leave it. Thought here. Let's see how those fold down. I may be wrong. I am. They won't fold flat. Look at that. Huh. So I guess they do have to go the other way. Back to the drawing board. Pull them out and try again. Weird. All right. Live and learn. Well, there we go. Now this time they'll fold up and They're a little farther than I thought they did. So there we go. The stove. All right, now let's put, got to figure out which goes on first, the lid or the grate. I'm suspecting, or grate, this is, this in next. And then we will probably fit the lid on around that. So to do that, yeah, I bet it's not again. Let's pin in that side. And then I'm going to have to bend it, pin to go on the other side. And that's it. All right, there we go. In order to go in ends, I had to bend it down, and then once I got it back in, flexed it back up in order to get out there so that it will sit right. And I might need to do a little monkeying with that to where it needs to be, but there we go. Got back. Now I got to get the lid over here. So the lid has two little hooks that come up through here, and they stick up there, pull them around, and then I'll have to pinch them together to get them to. So I think that that's definitely a red I'll have to do off camera, but I get those in place and show you what it looks like. All right, that changed filming look to work out. So there you can see that hook goes up in there around that wire that's in place. I'm gonna have to take a pair of pliers and right there. So let's get to work on that. Have those pinched together enough now that off of the wire, and yet they still pivot nice and smoothly. So that's got that part. All right, with that in place, let's fold this up. And of course, it's not going to want to stay there. But let's get the burner assembly put in next. I do that. That will get everything back there at enough of an angle. Hold itself. All right, burner assembly's pretty. Here it is. I'm just gonna have to stick it in there, end up, and of little screws and nuts in it. All right, we'll get to work on that. That's obviously more than a one-handed job. Sitting in place there, and got the screw nuts on it, and now we just got to tighten them up. And hopefully I can do that. Yep. Without having a pair of pliers. Once those nuts grab onto the burner, hold themselves in place. I love these things because they're just and pretty nice and able to take care of. There's nothing on it that you can't just figure out. All right. Get up here like she's supposed to. There we go. Wind wings out in place. Let's get the handle out the side. All right, what do we got left here? There. Trying to get this where you guys can see what's going on. set that up. All right. The burner grates, which are floating around here somewhere. Burner grates set in place real simply. And really all you've got with them are their tabs like this, one on each side of the burner grate, and they get folded to hold the grates in place. And I can probably tighten those up a little bit once I get things over here. Let's set that one in there. And there we go. Ta-da. Coming together. Last thing we're going to do on this step is we have this little latch that's in there. Like so. Place, and I'm going to have to get the pliers and pinch that up a little bit to capture that so that it will fold up like this. That'll be the last thing we've got to do there. After that, it's all about putting the tank back together and getting the thing ready to make fire. So I'm liking the way that's turned out. That's a pretty little stove. And yeah, antique to add to the collection here. All right, so I'm excited about the video up here. It's gotten way too long on this one, but the other ones were short and cramming too much information in, or too little in, I think. So we'll do this one, and then we'll come back and put that together and fire the thing up on the next one. So there you go. I'm glad you guys are watching. Everybody have fun, and hope you like and subscribe to the Will It Live Again channel. See you guys.